Friends, have you come to DCA? You've already done Guardians of the Galaxy. You've already rode Radiator Racers. You've already Incredicoasted. You feel like you have maxed out the day and it's not that late. Do you ever feel like you wish you had a little bit more DCA, a little bit more Disneyland Resort when you come out and spend a day here? And you're just like, oh, I just could go for some more adventure inside of that sweet, sweet, sweet Disney California adventure. Well, I'm here today to show you the expansion that's possible for Disney's California Adventure, Hollywood Studios. The most problematic part of the park, ironically, holds the best keys to Disney's future here at Disney's California Adventure. Well, if I've just described how you feel wishing that you could find a little bit more excitement, more attractions, more shops, more dining, then I've got a video for you to enjoy today as we look at how Disney Hollywood Studios could be the keys to the future expansion of Disney's California Adventure and the Disneyland Resort. Through here, I do believe, is the gateway to tomorrow. The area that I'm talking about is this block right in here, the actual Hollywood Studios backlot. I feel like the back half of the street or the first half of the street would totally be fine and could get changed stylistically into whatever's to come. But this back area through here, this is the troubled spot of Disney's California Adventure. And when I hear people, and particularly Disney, talk about new designs, new lands into the town, into the park, I always think of this corner because it's so badly in need of a new theme or just something happening here. And Bob Iger said before, we have a lot more land in California than people think that we do. And there's a way that this land actually reaches outside of the park and expands the footprint of Disney's California Adventure. And although these buildings are fantastic looking, there's really not any necessity to them being here. So they could easily get taken out and whatever new theme pops up could get put into their place. So when you look at these buildings from a distance, what we're really looking at is a giant wall that's behind us, a giant fence or wall that keeps us from seeing what's on the other side. So it could be buildings or it also could be landscaping that would be placed here to keep your eyes away from what exists on the other side of what's currently the back lot. But if something like Avatar were to come to town, it'd be easy to put up a fake building, redo these buildings, or even put in a little bit of landscaping and have that adventure lie on the other side. But what makes this such an interesting part of the park is the fact that this part of Disney's California Adventure could actually expand beyond the current footprint. There's some plans that Disney has to make this an entry point into more Disney's California Adventure. So let's, in our mind's eye, pretend that either these buildings exist, rethemed to something else, or they come out to be buildings that are the outer perimeter of another story, possibly landscaping for something hidden on the other side. Or what if they were removed altogether? What if this area was just completely blown out, giving you a way to look in to the new land, opening up this interior courtyard, therefore giving Disney the ability to push forward the show buildings, shops, and attractions that exist all on the outer edge. This entire center island of buildings could easily be removed, creating a bigger internal courtyard space that we're standing in right now, giving Disney the ability, like I said, to take all of those structures and move them forward if they needed more room behind them, but also to allow people to quickly get into whatever land is put here. Or they could remain, change, or turn into landscaping. But one way or another, everything inside of this cul-de-sac is pretty problematic, but it's also a massive opportunity for Disney to grow and scale Disney's California Adventure and the Disneyland Resort. Let's start over here with PhilharMagic. So the interesting part about removing PhilharMagic is it would add a lot of extra space, giving Disney the ability to really build a bigger area over here on the western end of this plot of land. But if they keep PhilharMagic, that works really well too, because a movie theater essentially would work with any theme that you bring in. You could just change the entertainment offering inside of PhilharMagic to match whatever brand you had in this land. But I do think that it would be tempting to remove this building and to have even more space, because as we've seen with Star Wars Galaxy's Edge or Cars Land here in Disney's California Adventure, when Disney Imagineering starts from the ground up, they just do fantastic work. When we look at Avengers Campus, something they had to snake through a lot of existing obstacles, the work isn't quite as good. So if they were to do a complete demo of PhilharMagic and then start around all of these other buildings we're going to explore, it's a pretty huge blank slate for Walt Disney Imagineering to tell a new story inside of Disney's California Adventure. Studio 17, which is now the Avengers Campus Superstore, is a massive, massive building. And only about half of it is being used for the Superstore. So keep in mind, if the movie theater were to leave, if this were to leave, you already have enough footprint for a massive show building. Sure, you have the monorail going through here, but that's nothing that Imagineering can't design around, or even plus the monorail, depending on what it might be piercing or going over the top of. But when we step foot in here, this is easily show building size for a dark ride or some sort of bigger adventure. If you think of the idea of combining this with the PhilharMagic footprint, it absolutely becomes massive. When we step over to the side, we get a really great idea of how big this building number 2 is in this space. But then right next to it, we have the dark ride for Monsters Inc., which is a full attraction that, once again, let's imagine if you combined this space with that space. Now instead of a okay dark ride, you could have something pretty massive. And if we were to combine all three, starting with PhilharMagic, taking out this building and adding in the footprint for, love that, Monsters Inc., now you're looking at something truly epic that could go back here. Imagine what's on the other side of this wall is where the Disney buses pick up and drop off guests all day long to take them over to the Toy Story parking lot. However, there was a plan on Disney's books to take that bus parking and move it over on the other side of Harbor. So the buses, just like at Mickey and Friends on the west side, would be in the bottom of a parking garage. And that parking garage would be where you would get on and off the buses, like over in Mickey and Friends and Pixar Pals, you get on and off of the trams. From that parking garage, you would take a skyway into the park, therefore making all of the space behind me totally redundant, not necessary for guest transportation, but for guest entertainment, allowing Disney to take everything that we're inside of right now, push it out, expand the park, and make all of these buildings even bigger, move these buildings back for whatever else comes, open up the center courtyard. There is enough space here for a significant land. If you would like for me to do a video showing that proposed footprint of where that parking garage was going to go, how the skyway would work, please let me know below, because these are very odd videos to make. There's not a huge audience for them, so I would appreciate if you subscribe to the channel and let me know below. Do you want me to expand this series and keep working on showing you all the different ways that Disneyland Resort could grow? Because I'd love to do it if you promise me you'll show up. But now, with extreme sensitivity, let's film over in the bus area, trying to keep the camera away from all of the security checkpoints, because that's not cool. But when I show you this bus footage and when I show it to you from Google Earth from above, just imagine how much real estate we're looking at right now. For the buses to come in and out, for there to be the secure drop-off area, and for the pickup for everybody else, taking them over to the Toy Story parking lot, that is a massive amount of space. Even if it's just to extend the buildings that we're looking at from above, Or if we just move these buildings back a little bit, it would give Disney the ability to create more of a center courtyard, more of a theme for whatever this land becomes. So now jumping back inside of the park, this is starting to give you, I hope, a better idea of scale of how much space we have to work with. And if I do, thanks to you, make that video where I show you the harbor side of this, the story gets even crazier. When we look at some of the most successful Disney Imagineering has designed in the last handful of years, normally the show buildings are all pushed on an outer edge, opening up a center courtyard for storytelling. When we look at Galaxy's Edge or Pandora out on the East Coast, these lands have this immersive area that you travel through that sets up the story, and then the attractions are the bookend to that adventure. You walk through, you see the promise of a great story, and then you ride the attraction that delivers on that promise. Imagine everywhere around me right now being scaled into a massive pre-show, setting up the theme for whatever shopping, dining, or attraction experience that lies on the outer edges. And while trying to be polite and not filming people that are relaxing, you get the vibe that this back corner of the park has just become kind of a park inside of the park where people go to relax, reboot, and to chill. But Disney doesn't necessarily love that. They want to keep people going. They want to make you feel like there's more adventure than what you can consume. And when we walk around this interior courtyard, it's pretty massive in its scale. I think you start to get the idea when you think about how the new lands have been laid out, how they use hills and sculpt the earth to create so many bends and twist in the road where you feel like there's more action around the corner. I think you're starting to see in your imagination how much potential actually exists inside of this pretty dead land right now. Or, hear me out, you could have this. Yay, everybody wins. It's horrible. So just in our first 3 buildings, there is so much room for expansion. But we also have the entire center courtyard that could be removed or create an outer shell. But that's not it. There's one more piece to this puzzle. Studio 12 is just as massive as everything that we've already looked at. I do believe that Disney uses it for a little bit of cast member training and special events. However, there's no reason all of those things can't be done off the actual campus of the Disneyland Resort, allowing Disney to have more space for more guests, to raise capacity, and to raise profitability, all the things they love. One of the things that I try to keep in mind when I think about Disneylands that are sort of on the downside is how much money is Disney making off of that land today? Like, are they selling anything that says Hollywood Land on it? Is there any financial appeal to this land? Does it have any life outside of its attractions? How much of the story and legend of DCA is it? And the answer is none at all. So therefore, when you think about putting this up on the chopping block, it becomes pretty interesting because with a bigger, more enticing property, something that is more readily available to merchandise, not only does the land hold more people, sell more tickets, create more of a demand, but also starts to sell more merchandise, which is a big part of the equation. So let's just pretend that this stays a restaurant of some sorts. You have all of the buildings over there we've documented, you have the space outside of the park, and then you have this massive show building. All of this is easily enough for 2 to 3 world-class attractions, a handful of shops, and a dining experience or 2. There's actually a building that sits on the other side of the monorail, just giving you an indication of how big the space is. I believe that's part of the Monsters Inc. building. But when you start to put all of these pieces together, I don't know about you friends, but it just gets me excited about what the future holds, because it won't be this way forever. So this is the massive Hyperion Theater where Rogers the Musical will show up. But that building is so big and it holds a ton of guests. But Studio 12 isn't that far off on its overall scale. So when we gaze across the distance of this park, and it's long, look how much space is actually here for a better version of Tomorrow to show up. There you go, friends, a look at Hollywood Studios inside of Disney's California Adventure as we ponder the future of this land and the expansion possibilities for DCA, where this land right here could hold so much more than what it does and even bring us more Disney's California Adventure at the Disneyland Resort. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know, and let me know if you would like for me to keep going on this series, showing you all the different ways that the Disneyland Resort could expand and bring more storytelling to life here in Anaheim, California.